I hope you guys are all ready for the Super Bowl tomorrow, and maybe you could let me know in the comments below who's going to win and why. I uh, I have a feeling that the Chiefs are in for a rough day. But that's just me. I think it's going to be a super close game. I think that they're evenly matched, and it could come down to fumbles or interceptions, as it usually seems to in football. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Let me talk about Tesla. Tesla has reduced prices on the standard and long range version of the Model Y today. It's a temporary cut of $1,000 just until the end of February. It's a very unusual approach and also very unusual timing. Number one could be, and I suspect that Model 3s are in short supply. That's why they didn't also give a good deal on the Model 3 right now. Number two, some people are suggesting, and I think it makes sense, that the Super Bowl traffic tomorrow, because there probably will be some car companies advertising EVs, BEVs, or even maybe some, regular ICE cars and things. All of those things are going to cause people to think about Tesla. And that's what always happens at Super Bowl. And they get a whole bunch of folks going to the website. So maybe this is kind of an incentive to get people to make an absolute decision. I better just go ahead and do it because I'll get this $1,000 deal that goes away at the end of February. All right. Number three, it could be that there's an Osborne effect right now from the Model 3 Plus being such a cool car, and it might be affecting Model Y sales. And maybe this is a way to just, give it a little jazz. And number four, February is just slow on all automobile sales in general. So this could be a way to kick things up a notch. Anyway, I'm going to say it's about the Super Bowl more than anything else, and we'll see what happens. But a nice special offer. So we'll see what happens. Well, they've also dropped the amount that you pay at signing on the lease for the Model Y to $2,499 instead of $4,000. I gave an analysis a while back. I did a long video on this about how incredibly profitable the leasing business is for Tesla. I'm surprised they don't push it a lot harder because they have that you can't buy the car at the end of 3 years. That allows them to resell them at the end of 3 years, and they just make bank on that. I don't know if it's going to be quite as good. There might be a short period of time there where the prices all came down so rapidly where maybe they won't make as much, but I think it'll still be a really good deal, quite frankly. This is from Alex Avoigt, Alex underscore AVOIGT. He says Tesla in January 2023 in Europe had a strong sales month. The Model Y is the best-selling BEV in January and February. The second best-selling BEV is 50% below Tesla's number. And he says February is starting out at a similar pace. Well, this is Randy Kirk. You know what you need to do. Hit the like button. No, don't just sit there and go, yeah, Randy, I usually do. No, I need you to hit the like button all the time. It just takes a second. Look, I'm the same way. I'll sit there and I'll go, oh, yeah, I should like that. And then, so I'm admitting it, okay? But I need you guys to do it and hit subscribe if you haven't already done that. But thank you for all the support because we did just pass 20,000 subscribers, and that was pretty exciting. And then, of course, you want to buy some of the bottle openers. It's a good time to buy those. And then, although I guess it would have been better, I should have been promoting that as something you would use at your Super Bowl party. I forgot, man. That's okay. March Madness. You're going to need to get a lot of these Cybertruck water bottle openers or bottle openers for the March Madness. When your friends are coming over, it'll be fun to show them. All right. Join Patreon. So the Wall Street Journal's at it again. They have definitely got it in for Elon and for Tesla. They are just going to hammer and hammer and hammer. Everybody predicted that they're just going to keep doing it. So I'm going to spend the rest of our time together talking about an article that just came out, and it's just another miserable piece of journalism, a horrible piece of journalism. And I'm going to just show you line by line how they get it wrong over and over and over again. Maybe this will be interesting to you. If it is, let me know in the comments below. Maybe you don't even agree with me. Let me know that in the comments below as well. All right. Starts out.
Tesla has long sold investors on the hope of a brighter future. But these days, what is that mission? At first, the electric automaker founded 20 years ago was to many investors and fans the answer to climate change. No, let me talk about that in a minute. Especially as Elon Musk showed the world that a zero emissions vehicle could be both cool and profitable. At one point, he said, helping to reduce the risk of catastrophic climate change is why Tesla exists. Well, the mission statement didn't say that. The mission statement said it's about the sustainability factor. That was what we're going to do. We're going to pull forward. We're going to make sustainability. He was worried about the end of fossil fuels, that there's just not enough. They're going to run out, and we need a sustainable future. That's what it always was about. Yes, he believed that it was also going to clean up the environment, but it was never about the environment first with him. It was always about sustainability. So he said over and over and over again, you can see this year after year after year. He said, look, this is the CO2 issue is not an existential risk in the short term. In fact, the UN says it's not ever going to be an existential risk, except in the most extreme example. But Elon believes that it was not, and I think he continues to believe that it's not the biggest issue facing us in the short term. And in fact, we'll read about that more as we go down. Yes, he'd like to clean up the air. Wouldn't we all? Let's get the CO2 out of the air. But that was not his number one issue, but it continues to be one that he cares about. So this is just completely wrong. So he says, as time wore on and others began chasing the EV dream, Musk positioned Tesla as something else, a gateway for artificial intelligence to move from the digital world into the physical world through driverless cars and then humanoid robots. Yes, that's exactly what he said. He says Tesla is now more than just an auto company. We are now an AI company who specializes in robotics. That is who they are today. It's okay to change the direction of your company as you come up with even more compelling products, but that doesn't mean he has any less interest in hitting 20 million vehicles by the end of the decade per year, and it doesn't mean that he has any less interest in robotic vehicles taking over everything and everybody driving around in a car that doesn't require human intervention to drive it. Driverless cars. I called the guy a fool. I'm going to take that back. He's not a fool. He's just misguided and didn't do his homework. Driverless cars are another step in the process of getting us where we need to go with regard to sustainability and with regard to elimination of fossil fuels. They are driven in a completely different way. They will be driven 5 times as much, reducing the number of vehicles that you need, et cetera, et cetera. You guys knew all this. It's incomprehensible to me that this guy doesn't get it. But what is comprehensible is that robotaxis and robots will generate massive wealth. All right, Tesla, it seemed, was full of limitless potential. Well, guess what? Tesla has even more potential. It is full of limitless potential, even more so than it was in the beginning. Does he forget about energy? Of course he does. Does he forget about, battery storage? Yes, he does. Does he forget about the way that we're going to distribute energy, which is going to reduce the amount of energy that we need, and that energy will become basically free and 100% non-carbon producing? All because of Elon. I mean, it's everybody agrees that he has been at the forefront of making all this happen. But lately, Musk sounds less urgent about climate change. And last month, Musk threw investors a curveball. That bright AI future he was talking about for so long, well, he doesn't feel comfortable doing it at Tesla after all, unless he gets another giant payday that gives him more control. No, completely wrong. Absolutely wrong. He doesn't feel comfortable moving forward into full artificial general intelligence unless he has 25% control of the vote. He said over and over again, I don't care about the money. I mean, he needs to be paid. We need to pay him. Everybody agrees that he needs to be paid. But it wasn't about the money. It was about the vote. It was about his belief that he needs to be in a position to make sure that stockholders, whether they're pension funds or whether they are these ISSs, that control the votes, or not control, but take over the votes of the pension funds and whatnot, and vote for ridiculous things, and might only care about the financial results, not the fact that it's going to hurt humans. That's what Elon's concerned about. That's what he said over and over again. And this is just nonsense. This is just either poor reporting or intentionally not correct. He says such threats immediately raise an existential question for Tesla investors. What makes the company special? In a world where Musk doesn't see climate change as a near-term risk and is wavering on his commitment to pursue AI at Tesla, what makes the company special? Oh my gosh, the guy has completely lost his mind. Shares of Tesla, which have already been valued the company well beyond any other car maker, have fallen more than 20% this year through Friday, while other tech companies such as Microsoft and NVIDIA have been seeing huge gains fueled by excitement about their work in AI. Well, and then later on, he's going to be, he's not going to pay any attention at all to what happened with the the Chancellery Court in Delaware, and how that impacted the stock. He's not going to pay any attention at all to what his own magazine is doing that's impacting the stock. Don't tell me about, I don't think it's anything to do with Elon Musk's lack of interest in selling 20 million cars by the year 2030, because that hasn't changed. He still plans to do that, expects to do that, is creating everything that is necessary in order to do that. The only thing he needs is the TAM. He just needs enough people to buy them. There's going to be plenty of manufacturing capacity. Anyway, in January, Adam Jonas, a high-profile analyst with Morgan Stanley, attributed 22% of his price target of Tesla stock to the future value created by an autonomous car fleet of 220,000 vehicles by 2030. But he also pulled back some of his expectations after Musk's comment about control. Quote, Tesla is the only truly AI-enabling stock under our coverage, Jonas told investors. Any change of the organizational or legal structure that impedes Tesla's ability to participate in the development of AI could be detrimental to our investment thesis. Elon, I'm sorry, is not going to be pulling back on anything that's required for robotaxi or anything that's required for the Optimus robot. He's concerned about general AI. He never said, I'm going to pull back from fully going forward on autonomous driving and fully going forward on the bot. Not a chance. That is not what he's talking about at all. But he says there's other products, there's other things, there's other parts of the formula which he doesn't want to do, which would give the Tesla organization the ability to go out and do things that could harm humans just to make money. Success in bringing out a profitable EV with the Model 3 sedan helped make Tesla the first automaker to be valued at one time for $1 trillion. After years of struggle, Musk had delivered one of the most ambitious promises, giving him the credibility that for anything else that he might tackle. During that run-up in 2020, Jonas remarked that the power of hope was helping fuel Tesla's dramatic rise that defied traditional automotive traditions and valuations. By then, Musk had By then, Musk had been selling the future of Tesla as something more than just electric cars, which he still is. In 2016, for example, he painted a picture of the automaker's future with fully autonomous vehicles, technology evolving out of its driver-assistance autopilot efforts. He targeted demonstrating a driverless car crossing the country by the end of 2017. That didn't occur. In 2019, as some of Tesla's investors questioned whether the Model 3 could live up to Musk's goals, the CEO held a special presentation for investors to tout the company's efforts to develop the autonomous technology and aim for a robot taxi fleet by the end of 2020. That didn't occur either. No. Then almost a year ago, Musk asked Tesla investors to take a leap of faith that the company's future was all about rolling out AI software to enable robot cars as its once explosive delivery growth showed signs of slowing, and he was resorting to price cuts on an aging lineup. All right, we got to take all that apart. Number one, yeah, the business of creating a fully autonomous car turned out to be just as hard as everybody thought it was going to be, except that Elon thought it it was achievable. He thought he could get it done in a certain time. I'm sure that Elon didn't sit there in the lab taking a look at what was happening. He didn't get in the car and drive around town and see how they were progressing and go, oh, you know what? I think this is going to take 10 more years, but I'm going to say it's going to be done in 2 weeks. No, that wasn't what he did. Does anybody, do people actually believe that? I'm sure there are a few cynics out there that think that he knew all along that there was no chance this could happen. No, what they saw was this dramatic capability. I've been driving a Tesla for 3 years with full self-driving. I can tell you that it was so far along, it was absolutely incredible. I have driven to San Diego and back without ever touching the brake, touching the, that's on the freeways, of course, way easier. In town, it's harder, but we see all kinds of people driving around for 20 minutes at a time, an hour at a time, without ever doing an interruption. So it was way harder than expected. Yes. Okay. That's what it was the hardest thing maybe ever contemplated by human beings. Oh yeah. That's been said by a whole lot of people. You're going to drive a 6,000-pound automobile down the street without anybody touching the wheel or the brakes or the pedal or anything else. And it's going to go around pedestrians and everything else. No, that's easy. Yeah, we'll handle it. But yes, it's taken a lot longer than expected. So, and then, he was going to ask the company, oh, please believe me again, because we're going to change around the way we're going to do this. And, we've got this aging lineup is in his mind. Oh my gosh, people are walking away from the best-selling vehicle in the world, which is an expensive, high-priced luxury sedan, is the number one unit sales company car in the world, which Elon said it would be. And he's had 50% growth, as he promised that he would in 2016. He promised 500,000 in 2020. And ever since 2020, he said he would get 50% growth on average, based on 2020 sales, on average, and some years will be less and some years will be more. And this year will be less. But last year, he lowered the prices. Why? Oh, there was this thing called COVID, which created this entire mess with regard to the supply chain. And therefore, the prices went sky high. And we had 29, 30% margins. And then, the whole thing was over. The pandemic was over. And all the supply chain problems were going away. And then people could go back to normal pricing again. And that's what Tesla did. They reduced their prices because not only could they, because their costs went down, but also because it made sense to lower the prices when you are trying to increase your sales another 50%. I didn't agree with it at the time. And then later on, I go, you know what? This is a smart move. And now I think most people, probably even Elon Musk, thinks it's better to spend some of that money on advertising. Because why? Because we're seeing lots of advertising starting to pop up since the end of last year, and we're seeing more and more in January and February. We do believe, according to this is an Elon Musk quote, we do believe we're laying the groundwork here and that it's better to ship a large number of cars at a lower margin and subsequently harvest the margin in the future when we perfect autonomy, he told investors last April after disappointing quarterly results. Yeah, they were disappointing, but they were still in line with exactly what he was always saying he was going to do, just not with regard to margins. Investors seem to buy it. Shares more than doubled last year after a bad 2020. In fact, they tripled and then they fell back again, in part driven by investors worried that Musk was too distracted by his acquisition of the social media platform now known as X. Well, yeah, there were people that thought that might be true, but why does this guy believe it too? He didn't say, oh, I agree with them. He didn't say he disagreed, because maybe his distraction was from all kinds of other things. Maybe it was from Neuralink. Maybe it was from a boring company. Maybe it was from SpaceX that's doing things. All these companies are doing things that nobody's ever done before. Maybe it was because of some significant breakthroughs at Tesla in things like robotics that are way beyond what anybody else is doing. Maybe it was building a lithium refinery that's going to completely change how lithium is refined. Maybe it was, I don't know, dry coated cathodes and anodes in 4680 batteries that were being built from scratch by a company that's never built a battery before. Maybe there was other distractions. I don't know. Could have been. Anyway, these distractions have only multiplied as he takes increasingly more controversial positions on X that worry Tesla fans. Well, they worried one, according to him. They worried Chuck Cook. That concern erupted anew. Chuck said,
he labors under the illusion. Oh, I'm sorry. And then he doesn't even say what Chuck said. He just gives the response that Elon said. He says, Chuck Cook labors under the illusion that Western civilization is not at risk, which it clearly is. If America fails, nothing else matters. Not stocks, not properties, nothing, Musk replied. All civilizations eventually fail, as history shows, but we would like this one to last as long as possible. And then the Wall Street Journal guy says, well, that's the kind of passion Musk once brought to Tesla's mission. And I keep asking the question, is your freedom of speech more important than your money? Let me know in the comments below. I'd like to know what you think about that. Money, freedom of speech. If you had to give up one, which one would you give up? Your money or your freedom of speech? I know which way I'm going. Climate change is the biggest threat to that humanity faces this century, except for AI, Musk told a journalist in 2017. I keep telling people this. I hate to be a Cassandra here, but it's all fun and games until someone loses their freaking eye. Elon just did a video where he stated again, climate change is a risk, but it's not an existential risk in the short term. And anybody who thinks it is just hasn't done the research. Elon says he just did a bunch of research and he came to the conclusion that that's where we are. Climate change is a risk, needs to be dealt with. And guess what's going to do the biggest job? The Wall Street Journal says these days, Musk's tone has changed. He has advocated against corporate values such as ESG, or known as environmental, social, and corporate governance that aim to encourage investments in the kinds of goals he once touted. ESG is the devil, Musk has said. Well, you know what? You could be against ESG as a horrible method for valuing companies, which it turned out to be, and a method that was corrupt through and through while still being in favor of getting rid of CO2 in the environment. Too much CO2 in the environment. Not all of it, please. Anyway, and Musk appears to be distancing himself from some of the green movement that he so embraced him years ago. At a public event in December, Musk described the alarm over climate change as somewhat overblown in the short term, which I've been saying since the very beginning of this article, and called for a programmatic approach to reducing carbon over the next several decades. Yeah, he wants a programmatic, I'm sorry, I just said programmatic. He wants a pragmatic approach to reducing carbon over the next several decades. Well, here's what pragmatic means. Number one, don't ask people to have less of anything or stop eating meat or anything like that. Don't tax people into poverty to get it done. Don't hurt the poorest of the poor. Don't stop production of natural gas when a huge percentage of the world is still using dung, wood, and coal. Those are pragmatic approaches to dealing with the issue. And then at the same time, build out your solar, wind, and battery and nuclear and all the things that Elon's been talking about for years and years and years. You just build them out as fast as you can. But it's as fast as you can depends on all kinds of things that Elon Musk has been at the forefront for years and years and years. We need more lithium. We need more nickel. We need more refining plants. We need more transformers. It just goes. Who has been making these alarming calls? Where's the Wall Street Journal reporting on Tesla? Elon Musk constantly going out and saying, this is what we need to get the job done. And then encouraging and getting out there and making sure that this stuff happens. Some of the environmental movement, says the Wall Street Journal, is part of what is causing people to lose hope in the future, Musk said. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that we should have hope in the future. We should be excited about the future, and we should build the future we want. And what he's been talking about is population density or population decline. It's a bigger threat than global warming, believe me, because why? Because you could absolutely predict the end of civilization as a result of people not having babies. It's just automatic. And it's happening. It's happening everywhere around the world, and countries are starting to suffer as a result of the aging of the populations and as a result of population decline, and it's just going to get worse and worse. The future, in Musk's telling, involves humanoid robots, which will replace the labor that we're not getting from having babies, dubbed Optimus, that he says Tesla is working to develop using the technology behind its driverless cars. Optimus, quote, obviously is a very new product, an extremely revolutionary product, and something that I think has the potential to exceed the value of everything else in Tesla combined, Musk told analysts in January.
I think he said we've got a good chance of shipping some number of Optimist units next year, meaning 2025. And that's where he ends the article, which is kind of a weird place to end the article. He gives no conclusion. He gives no, doesn't make any comment at all about that very comment. But anyway, yes, the robots are going to be a huge thing that's going to help all the things that he's worried about. They're going to help in terms of producing less and less expensive vehicles. The energy thing is going to produce so much well. Reducing the cost of energy to zero will be the greatest thing that's ever happened to folks that are impoverished, or even in the lower middle classes around the world. If everybody in the world can get energy for free, it's going to change everything. Okay, I don't know. That's all I got to say. Listen, there was a couple of videos this morning. I guess you guys are all vacationing. You're on the way to somebody's house in order to watch the game, whatever's going on. These were two outstanding videos earlier today, and like 12 people watched them. So you might want to go back. I'll put cards here and here that you can go back and check those out. In the meantime, I'll have a video out tomorrow morning and a video out after the game. Of course, it shall be the Monday morning video where we talk about all the financial stuff next week. And those will be the only two videos for tomorrow. So until then, it has been great talking to you.